Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MXGP Career Mode. My name is Ninjitsu Evolved and this is part 29. We only have 2 parts left of this career mode, so let's try and make them good ones. If you have missed any of the previous episodes, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to go check those out now. 2, 1. Okay, so last time out at Bastogne in Belgium, we had a decent meeting all considered. We finished 4th in race number 1 and 2nd in race number 2. There were a lot of silly mistakes that were made during the course of both of those races, and realistically, race number 2, I should have won that race. I absolutely should have won that race. It was my own stupid fault. I made a very silly rookie mistake, and it opened the door for Clement Desalle to win the 2nd race. Now, we were outscored by Clement Desalle. We beat Ken Desalle, but we were outscored by Desalle across the meeting. He outscored us by 4 points in the first race and by 3 points in the second. If we'd have won that 2nd race, we would only have dropped a single point to him in the championship standings. As it turned out, we ended up losing 7. Now, it's not a major loss because we still hold a lead of 49 points in the MX1 World Riders standings. But like I've said in a couple of previous episodes, since we established our lead, the last thing I want to do now with us getting into the business end of this career mode is throw it away. You know, we've had a good season on this Monster Energy Yamaha machine. We've not had as many wins as we did in MX2, but we've always been there or thereabouts for a majority of the circuits. So we're going to move on. I think that basically, well, it's a mathematical impossibility for anyone to overhaul us. Well, it's not. There's a 100-point maximum. I'll explain it the same way that I explained it in MX2. Everyone from and including Tony Cairoli down are out of it. Yevgeny Bobryshev is essentially out of it, because even if he wins all 4 races, if we finish last in all 4 races, we're still going to score 5 points a race. So the most he can score is 80 over us, so he wouldn't be able to overhaul us. So it is a 3-horse race between ourselves, Clement Desalle and Ken Desalle. Desalle, who has been our championship rival for most of the early part of the season, he's definitely seen his championship aspirations falling away. Clement Desalle is now emerging as the only contender, but even then, he's going to have to ride his socks off and we're going to have to melt down pretty badly for him to overtake us. But this is all things for the future. This is all things that we can discuss later on. We prepare to come to Matterley Basin in the UK before we start a quick look at the options. It is, as per usual, 3-lap races with races only and realistic AI difficulty, pro riding physics with the only assist being an automatic gearbox. I must say I'm quite surprised that the team expect me to score a maximum. Don't get me wrong, it's my home GP, I'd very much love to. It just kind of surprises me that the team are expecting 50 points from me. But we'll see how it goes anyway. So, Matterley Basin in the UK, it's a circuit where we were, I think it's fair to say it's a circuit where realistically in MX2 we were average at best. We didn't have race winning pace, we couldn't go with the leaders, we were there or thereabouts, but it wasn't the sort of result I was hoping for from my home Grand Prix. Part of that I would put down to how tricky the starting section of this circuit is as we select our starting gate, as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, all the way on the outside. So here we go, part 29 of MXGP Career Mode, the penultimate episode of MXGP Career Mode, round 13 of the MX1 World Riders Championship. Can we secure the World Championship here at my home Grand Prix? Let's find out, and let's go to work. Okay, so as I was saying, the first part of this circuit is quite tricky. You've got a slow left-handed hairpin to open, which is open until you get out of it. Once you get out of it, this circuit narrows very quickly, and then it's a slow right-hander, which actually brings you actually onto the circuit itself. I think we've just caused Sean Simpson to lose his spike. And according to that, Clement Desalle at the moment is behind us. As I said in the previous video at Bastogne, in order to secure the World Championship with a 49-point lead, to make it a mathematical certainty. Oh no, I believe we have to outscore Clement Desalle by a single point, because I think we have had more race victories than him. We need to outscore him by 2 to be 100% certain. Desalle is fighting his way through the field, quickly moved his way past Yevgeny Bobryshev. Tommy Sir with a nasty looking little case, and then the crash that followed. Oh, Bobryshev got on his back wheel. We went straight into him. I didn't mean to knock him off his machinery, but I mean, I've had that happen to me a couple of times. I know how, especially with riding with this AI, how frustrating that can be. Now we need to start chasing down these front boys. We need to stay with them. Front three. Ken Desaille's there. He does still have, as I've said before, a mathematical chance at this World Championship. But he does need to outscore us quite handily at both races, at both of the remaining GP. And it looks like he's had a nasty case. We have as well. Looks like those front two were able to pull a gap on Desaille. But it's not really important as to which two riders are leading at the moment. We know that Clement Desalle is behind us. With the case, that landing, I don't know how we stayed on the bike then. Saw it snap away to the side. Another one of those moments where the bike seems to be pretty much horizontal just before we land, and somehow we managed to get away with it. These corners are very tricky, they're deceptively fast because of the camber on some of the, especially the downhill corners. The camber on them just takes you further and further away from the apex. You need to slow down a lot more than you think you need to. Whoever it is that's leading appears to be checking out at the front. I just saw them on the opposite side of the track. You can see they have got a slight lead. Desaille's closing that gap back in for second, so Desaille's trying to get back onto the tail end of these leaders. I don't think we have Desaille's pace. Because we're getting challenged now. I saw someone try to stick a wheel up the inside of us there. Just saw a tyre emerge all of a sudden. You know, the fight cup, the challenge coming from behind is suddenly real. It is Jeremy Van Hoorbeek who's running a monstrous pace to try and close us down. We are just losing time hand over fist to the people in front of us. We do not, once again, we do not have the pace here, which is really disappointing for me. Home Grand Prix, I want to come out here and absolutely dominate, fair enough. There is, to get another bad landing there, there is the very real possibility, if we can keep this together, as we're nearly 4 seconds slower, we're 3.5 seconds slower on a single lap than the fastest lap of the race. That is not comfortable at all. We've got a second and a bit over Desalle, but if that's how far off the pace we're running, he could definitely put a challenge in on us. Like I've said, Desalle is, to make it a mathematical certainty, the person that we need to actually outscore at this meeting. Desaille can outscore us, but he needs to outscore us by a fairly big margin to keep his championship hopes alive. He's done a really good job though of bridging that gap to the front too. Van Hoorbeek and Desalle are still battling away behind us. They're costing each other time, which is good news for us, because these front three are just ripping away from us at the moment. Paulin's crashed out a second. Oh no, that's going to gift Desaille another 2 points if he can maintain that position over Gautier Paulin. We're now running in P4. We're still running in P4. A very uneventful race. We had challenge coming from behind with Van Hoorbeek really putting the hammer down to close up on us. But other than that, it's been pretty much just an isolated race. We've been on his own, doing his own thing, running his own pace. The Strybos will take the victory. I believe it will be Desaille second. with Powell in third and ourselves in fourth position. Could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse for the opening round. So Strybos wins, Didika second, we finish in fourth, and Clement Desalle in sixth. That means we outscore Desalle by 3 points at the moment. Didika has scored 4 points over us. So we have a championship lead of 52 points coming into this second race. We can probably afford to drop 2 of those points. I mean, we can afford to drop a fair few of them. As I've said before, if Desalle wins the 2 final races of the season and we come last in the 2 last races of the season, he's only going to score 40 more points than us because we score points for finishing in last. So even if we have more than a 40-point cushion at the end of this meeting, the championship should still be ours. But to make sure of it in terms of how the game considers it, to make sure of it mathematically, we need to try and keep outscoring Desalle. We need to keep that lead at 50 points or higher. And we've got 52. So we've got a couple of points to play with, but we need to keep that advantage. We need to keep the pressure up here at my home Grand Prix of Matterley Basin as we prepare for the second race. Hopefully this will be a little bit more exciting. Hopefully exciting as in me moving forward, not me dropping the bike and finishing last. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to work. Okay, so it wasn't a terrible start last time. We got away with the leaders and there was quite a lot of argy-bargy. I've turned in way too early. And I've jinxed myself before the race started. Why did I start talking about me crashing and finishing last? That is the last thing I wanted to see happen. Turned in way too early, collected Sean Simpson, and then all of a sudden the 2 Brits both hit the deck at their home GP in a move that was entirely my fault. Oh, now I'm dreading where Desalle is. I am dreading to think where Desalle is. And with the fact he's not my championship rival, with the fact he's not my rival for the meeting, it's not going to tell me where he is. Oh, it's absolute chaos. I think I've caused that again. Didika got the whole shot off the start as well. Well, Didika can do what he wants. He knows he's got to score a lot of points to try and keep his championship hopes alive. But oh, there's even more chaos. I think it's too little too late. We're up into P4 and I can't see his name, but all I see is a Suzuki. Yellow Suzuki. Is that Clement Desalle in front of us? It is. He's got an advantage of 1 3/4 seconds, call it. Oh, this is a very precarious position right now because he's going to score 2 more points than us. Oh, if we finish in 4th, if we stay on the bike, okay, he's going to score 2. If we finish like this, which looking at that a moment ago is nowhere near guaranteed, he will score 2 more points than us at this second race, which will give us a championship lead of exactly 50. I believe that will be enough to give us the World Championship, because I think we will have had, well, I'm not even sure on this, I believe we may have had, put it that way, that sounds better, more race victories than Clement Desalle at this point. Whether or not him winning the last 2 races of the season can bring him back in terms with us, I don't know. But like I say, it's pretty much, I mean, even if we're only 40 points clear, that should be us with the championship as a mathematical certainty. But because the game operates on a 25-point maximum, as the championship season does, it will only recognise me as world champion if we have a lead of 50 points or more. Whoa, steady, steady, steady at the end of this race. So it looks like, depending on what the game decides to do, our coronation may have to wait until Teutschenthal in Germany. I mean, this second race, it does feel a bit faster, and I am pulling away now from the likes of Powell in behind, who are very nearly allowed to capitalise on my mistakes. I just do not feel like I'm bridging this gap to Desalle at all. It's a 3-second lead now. Fair enough, there was a big mistake at the end of the first lap, and I'm going to be very much hoping not to do that again. Bad case. Always seems to be a bad case there. The Diker is just absolutely hammering it at the front. We did a 44.4, we did a 45.1. We put a little bit of time back on Desalle there, but these little bits of time are not going to be enough to close the gap in on him and make a pass. We need a lap, an absolute lap of the gods here to really make this work. I'm trying not to be quiet, but I'm also trying to stay focused, trying to stay concentrated, try to pull this gap in, because this first sector of the circuit is looking quick, it's looking smooth. It looks like we may in fact be closing that gap. We've taken nearly a second, we've taken over a second, sorry, out of Desalle there. So now it's going to be very interesting to see what we can do across the rest of this lap. Oh, Bobryshev has crashed. No, Bobryshev! Bobryshev has crashed and has allowed Desalle into second place. That is not a result that we need. We need to pass both of them realistically, but at bare minimum we do now actually have to make a pass on Bobryshev. No, Yevgeny, what are you doing? It's 1.1 now to Bobryshev. I don't think I've got the pace. I genuinely do not think I've got the pace over this final sector. I really struggle to find a rhythm through this part of the track. Trying to get a good clearance, but it's a bad landing again. Diker wins, Desalle's going to take second. Bobryshev finishes in third, and we take fourth place. We lose 4 points there to Clement Desalle, which will leave us with a championship lead of 48. We don't even finish on the podium for the meeting. So there you go, we have a 48-point championship lead over Clement Desalle and a 57-point lead over Kenny Diker after the Diker wins the Grand Prix. It's as far in terms of the actual how the game scores, we should be world champions, but because it's a 50-point maximum from each meeting, it's not going to confirm as world title. Yevgeny Bobryshev, what were you doing? I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless. Like I said, I didn't think we had the pace to challenge Desalle for that position. Once he got that lead, and with the mistakes coming in, and with the fact that it's this track, as much as I want to smash my home GP, it just never comes together for me on that track. 2 fourth places, I mean, it's not terrible, but yeah. But as you can see, team have set the objective at 3 points for us at Teutschenthal, which would be enough to put us over the 50-point gap threshold. That's all we need to secure the world title. We'll get that in race number 1 because we'll score 5 points. So the championship is pretty much a certainty. It's just the game's not going to give it to us yet. It will not recognise us as world champions then until the final round. So that is when we will have our coronation. It's pretty much sorted. We've pretty much already won it. We did everything we could do at my home GP. Like I say, 2 races, 2 fourth places, finishing off the podium in both races, and then again finishing in 4th overall for the meeting, 1 point behind Desalle, who bumped us off the podium at his home GP. It's quite upsetting, it's quite depressing, but I'll leave it there for now. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been part 29 of MXGP Career Mode. If you have enjoyed this, if you want to go and catch up on any of the previous videos, they're all available on a playlist on my channel. Please feel free to subscribe and go and check those out. But until next time, until the final part of this MXGP Career Mode from Teutschenthal in Germany, I will leave it there. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the finale.